Welcome back to Beyond the Silence podcast. We are back here at Bliss Om Yoga Studio in Woodbridge, and I am your host, Lisa Toma. So today is a very special day. I have my first guest on the podcast, and it's someone who's extra, extra special, well, to me at least. And I thought it would be the most perfect opportunity to show how, let me introduce my sister first. I have my sister here, Lori Muya. She is a professional and one of the top makeup artists. She did my makeup today. And I just thought it would be an amazing opportunity to bring my sister on the show to show how we've experienced the same type of experiences in our life and our trauma, but how different we've carried those experiences in our life and how we coped so differently and how we showed up in the world because of that. So take it away, sis.
Great. So as you've heard in our story, we lost our mom to a domestic violence. And at that time, I had just turned 14. And I feel like, I'm not sure because you were 18, but because of the age that I was at, I felt like it was a crucial time as a young girl in my teens, starting to get into the stages of becoming a woman. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I lost the biggest, our biggest like go-to person that we would need at that age. So it was either I had to come to you or I had to figure it out on my own. Mm-hmm. And I guess everything just pretty much stemmed and started off of there.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I was 18 and I also felt the same way, right? So I feel like we were totally in different stages. Like you were coming out of your adolescence and you were in your teenage years, mm-hmm. and I was coming out of my teenage years into my adulthood. And I also felt that I lost my support person in the most crucial time of my life as I was finishing high school, getting ready to go to college or university and start my career. I really resonate with that too, because I feel like that was also a very important part. I also feel like the way we coped was much different. Yeah. For me, I can say that how I got through is I really shared my story, my feelings with my friends. And I also had a very, very tight community. Like my friends were my family. And I was very vocal about it. And that's how I healed. But I know that
I'm the opposite. I'm the opposite. So with me, I did at the time have a lot of friends, especially I was in the 8th grade and we had a big group, but all extremely close. And I found as time had passed, I did the opposite. I pulled away. I wanted to be alone. I basically, anything that was a reminder of our old life, it was hard for me to be around. Because also, I always felt that I was looked at as, oh, she's the one that, you know, her dad killed her mom. Yeah. And people, in my a perception, people were treating me in a different way. They were probably just trying to be extra sweet and nice because of everything that had happened. But it made me feel worse. I knew it came from a good place.
Same.
But I felt like, I don't know, a charity or people felt bad. So I pulled away. I switched high schools. I went to college up north. Like anything to escape from being in the Vaughan area was what I wanted. And I feel bad because when I look back at it now, a lot of the girlfriends that I had in my life who were a big part of my life, they didn't understand what happened to me, why I was in and out.
I don't even think you understood what was happening.
No, at the time, no.
And it goes to show too, like as a trauma practitioner, it's so obvious to me now, like the different survival states that people take. So for me, I went straight into fight, and which is not surprising because I'm the oldest of us four, but I went into fight. So I went like right into it. And you went into like flight or freeze, and you were like I need to run away from all of this. And I just went like head first, like through everything.
I hid.
Yeah, you hid but that is a very common trauma response to a lot of people. It's just, I feel like we all just show up in the way that we need to in order to get by. So I feel like when you look back on the versions of yourself, it's so important to honor those versions of yourself because it's just who you needed to be at that time in order to get through the most difficult times of your life. And with that being said, I also feel like how we also dealt with our I guess traumas differently and how we coped with that, I feel like it also made a huge impact in our relationships, and not just with friends but also in our relationships with men. And that I feel like was a huge part for me. So for me, I'll tell you a little bit about like my experience and then you can share yours. And I feel like for me, I was 18 and I did have a boyfriend at the time, but I found myself constantly in unhealthy and toxic relationships. And I've stayed. And it wasn't any physical abuse or anything like that. And because that physical aspect wasn't there, and because it was better than what were used to seeing the dynamic of relationships around us, it seemed healthier, like, oh, I'm doing better. And I didn't know that it still was an unhealthy relationship, which I think is such a common thing for young girls to be in unhealthy relationships and not even know that they're in unhealthy relationships. So, but the thing with me is I stayed in very long-term relationships. And I always knew that I wanted to start a family. I always knew I wanted to have children. And for me, it was like, I think it's because I witnessed like our mom sticking it out the whole way and my relationship was better. I focused on long-term relationships. So do you want to like share a little bit about how
Where do I start?
I know.
Oh God. So for me, I feel like so at the time, I think when everything happened, I did have a boyfriend at that time, a nice guy too. But I felt like with me, one of the biggest things looking back is even when I had a good guy, because I feel like every guy I've dated, they weren't alike in any way. All of them were very opposite,
Very different.
very different. But with me, just the thought of long-term marriage, kids, or family, I would think, I'm not obviously at that stage now, but back then I'd feel stuck. I'd
Yeah.
feel like I
Scared
can't
the hell
breathe.
out of you.
I'd feel scared. I'm like, no, I'm not excited to have a life with a person where I have to be at home every day and be their slave. Like I would get scared. I know it sounds terrible.
Well,
but
it's just
that's what I was.
the fact that your mind automatically went to that was your position as a wife or your job as a wife.
And also back then, even when I did end up choosing to be with a good person, it was even hard for me to learn how to accept it. You know, where a man back then, whenever I would hear, a man, he wants to be a man, even opening up a door, I'm like, I don't need you to open up a door for me.
Yeah.
I got it. Whereas now, at my age now, I'm standing there and I'm just like, hello, open my door. So it's a complete, like, I've obviously had to do like a lot of work in order for me to get here. And there's obviously still a lot more, but I feel like what I was trying to find in every person that I was with, there was always a specific amount of time. And I remember the day that you brought this up to me and I hated you for it. I was like, how dare she?
That's what older sisters are for.
You pointed it out to me and said there was always a point in a relationship, like about a year.
No, it was always the 2-year mark and you were over it.
I was over it. No, but always with the year, I'm like, I don't know. There's this and there's that. And you'd be staring at me thinking, I'm ridiculous. You're like, are you kidding me? Is that why? And I'm thinking.
It was like the stupidest
thing. But I felt more at peace and safe being alone. And half the time, the person that I was with, he wasn't even a good choice. Like I just stayed because one, he treated me better than the last, or two, I had a person there who cared to be there. And I'm realizing now, well, I have already realized that everything I was trying to get out of whoever I was with, it was what I needed to give to myself. Because now, like, I just turned 37. Oh God,
Wow.
37. And I'm at a point now where I'm at peace.
Yeah.
That I'm not like, oh my God, everyone's having kids, everyone's doing this. And I was like, thank God that
Yeah.
right now I'm in a good place. So the person I choose will be a healthy choice.
100%.
Hopping on a plane whenever I can. I'm
Yeah.
thankful for that. And I'm still trying to figure out, like, if I do want to have a child, be with
Yeah.
a specific type of person. But it definitely left a mark on me. And from all the conversations I've had with you, from all the partners that, you know, that I've had, and you know what, every person I was with, it wasn't like I was with them for like a month. Like it was long term.
Yeah. I love that you said that, like that you're grateful that you are still kind of like navigating the relationships in a healed version of
Yeah.
yourself, right? And I just realized something as you were talking. I realized that all of the guys you dated were very nice guys.
Calm.
They were very great guys where I chose the complete opposite. Like
Oh,
mine was
God.
like I like dated like bad boys. Like
No, I liked.
but here's the thing. Yeah, you dated really nice guys, and here's the funny part of the difference. As a trauma practitioner, whatever your nervous system becomes accustomed to and used to feels safe for you.
Okay.
So, for example, if I had dated a nice guy, it wouldn't have lasted very long because my nervous system was in a home that was very unpredictable. There was domestic violence, there was a lot of yelling, there was controlling, and there was all of these things, and that's what our nervous system became accustomed to, and that felt safe for us. So subconsciously, we needed that in order to feel safe.
Yeah.
You were with nice guys.
Yeah. All
And
of
that
them were really nice.
they were all very nice. And that didn't feel safe for you because your nervous system wasn't used to that.
I didn't know how
Right?
to accept it. It was weird to me.
Yeah,
He
and-
was weak to me.
Right. And now it's the complete opposite, right? Now, like the toxic guys are like, ugh, stay away.
Yeah.
And you have all of these beautiful things that you want to like manifest in a partner. And they are all of the things that you actually really do deserve. Whereas coming from a wounded version of yourself and choosing a partner from that wounded version.
Yeah. And
Right?
just to add on that, even though that, yes, a lot of the guys that I was with, like in the past, were all nice guys. When I stop and think back to each person, I could tell which stage I was at when I was with each.
Because it was so common.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that was like all of like the past wounded versions of us. So how would you describe kind of like where your healing journey has brought you now in this present moment?
I feel like right now I'm at a point, and it took me a long, long time to get here. I'm at a point where when I look in the mirror, I'm not unhappy and sad, and as if I'm missing a part of me, or that I'm not as important or special as everyone else that I see in my life, that I deserve that there isn't anything wrong with me, that yes, I have a story, but my story isn't me, it's just what happened to me. And I'm at a point where I'm at so much peace with who I am and where I'm at, that I want a person who will just add to that peace.
Oh, I love that. That's so important. It's like having somebody there beside you instead of depending on that person to be there to carry you.
Yes, and being aware of what to want and expect from a partner that things that I know that I'm the one who's accountable to give me specific things that
Absolutely.
I'm not supposed to lean on a person to give me that. Like I should be happy and at peace with who I am and everything inside of me than to be with a person and say, you're not doing this and you're not doing
Yeah.
that when that's not their job, it's mine.
Yes, but it's still important.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
There is a balance. There is a balance. However,
Right?
there are key
Yeah.
things that you as a person, you should have on your own. That,
Absolutely. Like things that you should be giving to yourself first, and then your partner just adds to that. Just talk a little bit about how, like what you're doing now in your career, and maybe how your experiences brought you to this and the reason behind why you chose this career.
Okay, so I have been a makeup artist for about, I want to say, over 10 years now. Just these past year, I think year and a half, 2 years, it's now been a full-time thing. And it took me a long time to come back to this because I would spend a lot of time alone, as I did often, playing with all the makeup. And I wasn't ever a girly girl into makeup. Like I was sports, like, and all of that.
Yeah, you were a tomboy.
And I found in my early 20s, that's when I was the most at peace, alone in my room as usual, playing with makeup, doing all of that. And then a lot of my worth and what everyone thought kind of came over and took over that I thought I had to have a specific type of job, and so people will think I'm smart or
successful.
look, after everything she's accomplished this. I went to school for advertising and design and all of that, and I enjoyed it.
So you are a very creative person already.
Yes.
Because you do graphic design.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what she went to school for.
Yeah. There was a part of me that I felt like my heart wasn't in it, that I knew I wanted to do more, that I wanted to get back to a part of me that I missed. And when I got back into doing all the makeup full time, so I did it part-time on and off, it was a part of myself that I felt like I had in that role that I didn't have in the past, where I did it because I can see when a person was in my chair, how they felt, how they talked about themselves. Oh my God, I just want to look like, I want to look good. Can you help me? And I remember that that's how I felt all the time.
Wow. So it's almost
myself.
like you could see how good they felt inside, because after all of those years of feeling so empty and not enough, it was kind of like you were like feeding your inner teenage self or your younger self and allowing people to feel the way that you were yearning to feel for so long.
Yes. And I would always, and I still do it now, every client who's in my chair, I'm like a hype girl for them.
Wow.
Because I can just see how they even walk out of the chair. But I feel like it's coming from a different place now, where I don't care if anyone thinks like, you're 37, you're a makeup artist, that's cute. I'm like, thanks. Are you happy to get out of bed every day? Because I am. Like, that's exactly how I feel.
No, I love it.
And you see how I am now in my life. Like, I book up half the month and I take off half the month because I can.
Perfect. Yeah.
And so I'm out of my head in that sense, where I don't feel like I have to prove that I'm this type of person to people. And it's just like, you know what? I'm a makeup artist in 37.
A makeup artist is
I'm happy.
an incredible career, first of all.
It's a job.
I remember, like, even for me, when I sit in your chair, I've become a pretty confident person, but I'm also a mom of 3. So I don't look like this on a daily basis.
She does.
Like, I dropped the kids off at school today and her teacher was like, whoa, you look gorgeous. I'm like, thanks. But even when I sit in your chair with the confidence that I have, and I look in the mirror, like when you give me the mirror, I feel, not that makeup is supposed to give you a feeling, but it's like you just feel like you can conquer the world.
And I'm so sorry, there's one thing that just hit me, and I finally have the love in myself that I can now give to people.
Yes. And this is the one thing. This is the one thing that we talked about so much, like over your journey, just the self-love and the self-worth is like one of the starting points in anybody's healing journey, because if you don't have the love and the self-worth, it's so hard to feel safe enough to be able to really start healing and releasing the things that you're holding on to. You need to feel safe in your body, and you need to feel safe like in yourself or with yourself in order to begin your healing journey. And that's where it always starts, building the safety back in your body so that you can actually move forward. So quick question, and you can answer first and then I'll go second.
Oh God, what?
Do you feel that you are an introvert or an extrovert? But I also have another question. Were you always one or the other? Or were you one and became the other, or vice versa?
Okay, so from what, younger,
Yes.
before everything happened,
Yes.
I was an extrovert, 100%.
Okay.
Anyone who knew me back then,
Yes.
100%.
I agree.
I'm still a goof, but back then I was
But
always,
only with people you're comfortable with.
but now,
Yes.
I became more of an introvert because of how often I was alone, and that's where I felt at peace. But now I feel like, depending who I am around, the people I feel safe with,
That doesn't count.
I'm an extrovert. What do you mean?
Doesn't count.
I'm an extrovert around the people that I'm happy to be around, that
Okay.
I want around, that I feel safe around. People who I don't know at first.
In general.
In general, I feel like I'm both. Are you able to be both?
You're an introvert.
I love being alone.
You're definitely an introvert. Even in like a new group of people, you're an introvert until you slowly start
Making my
becoming.
way in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm an extrovert. I feel
was gonna
like
say,
I've
yeah.
always been. As a child, I was very, very shy and I was an introvert. But I feel like as I started getting older, I became an extrovert. Like, and now I feel like I'm more I'm more of an extrovert than I was before. I'm like an extra
Yes.
extrovert.
Yes. I see that a lot.
Yeah, I'm
There's
like a
times-
double. I'm like a
yeah.
double extrovert. I'm extra extrovert.
I feel like I'm both.
So I wanted to thank you for allowing me to force you to be my first guest. No, I'm just kidding. I wanted to thank you for being here. And I know how difficult it is for you to really open up and be very vulnerable, especially on a platform. So I am, honestly, I'm truly like so grateful. And it just kind of like goes in with everything else I'm grateful for, because you're always there for me, even when it's really uncomfortable. So I wanted to say thank you for doing that.
I'm happy.
And so the reason that I created this podcast was I feel like so many of us are holding on to things that feel so uncomfortable for us to share. And I don't think that people realize the importance of using your voice and speaking up, and how detrimental it is to our mental health, to our bodies, to hold on to our stories, and also allowing people to have hope and inspiration by hearing other people's stories. And no two stories are the same. My sister and I grew up in the same home, and both of our experiences are so different. Doesn't matter what your experience is. We're not comparing. It doesn't matter how small or big. It affects everyone in different ways. And the more that we speak about this, the more that people realize that they're not alone, and that there are things that people can do to start their healing journey, and using your voice is definitely one of them. So if people wanted to find you to do their makeup, how could they find you? Where can they find you?
I am the most active on Instagram, and you can find me at lori.muyabeauty.
Perfect. Do you have a website?
It's in the process.
Okay.
And you, Lisa?
And where can they find you?
Oh, well, you can find me on Instagram as well at This Is Healing Official. I'm starting to get a little bit more active on TikTok. And you could also find me on my website, www.thisishealing.ca. And as you're watching or listening, you can find me on YouTube and all podcast platforms as well.
Until next time.
Stay safe, San Diego.